Ultra Chill.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Ultra Chill. We had a really fun chat with Ed, our chief strategy officer, about how he's been bringing on developers and publishers to our platform, also about his thoughts on the wider gaming and crypto markets, and about how partnerships are forged. But first, Nicolas, our CEO, has an exciting announcement about our carbon neutral certification. So let's start with that.
Yeah, so we wanted as well to announce, as you guys seen recently in the previous articles we shared this week, so Ultra is carbon neutral certified. That's a very important milestone for us. We knew it was the case, but now we can actually have a proof certified by people that are working with Microsoft or many different large corporates, so pretty serious. And basically, it goes even a bit further in a sense that we not only are neutral, but we are even negative. So whatever we consume in terms of carbon, we actually offset twice as much. And even that's not so much because the technology developed by Ultra is actually not consuming a lot. It's like 23, 25 tons a year, which is ridiculously low. But I think, Ed, maybe you have some thought on this, of course. So would definitely love to have your
Thank you, Nicolas. Yeah, exactly. You know, being carbon neutral or even carbon negative isn't something that was at the top of my issues that I discuss with the publishers, developers, or our hardware partners. But I can tell you that it's come up starting a couple of months ago as an important topic for these our current partners and our potential partners. How we're being, good citizens within the community. And so I look forward to sharing this article with our partners and with our potential partners. And I think that this will be incredibly helpful in getting them over the line to work with Ultra on a deeper and stronger relationship.
Thanks for joining us, Ed. It's really fun that you're here. Maybe you want to give us a little bit of history about like how you joined, what you've been doing, what your past experiences are.
Yeah.
We're all super curious.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was going to start off with I was born in San Francisco, but I felt that would be a little awkward. We don't have enough time to cover all of that. But I've been in the video game industry for close to 30 years, and I was attending GDC in 2018, and I'd been told about this platform. That's all I heard at that point. And I met David and Nicolas, and honestly, when I saw it up on a giant TV, I had a visceral reaction. And it was, I wanted to be part of this thing. And Nicolas will tell you, and I know he's heard this story a million times, but I probably sent him about 80 WhatsApp messages, some texts, some emails. And Nicolas finally relented, I think, just to defend himself and let me join the team. And, I don't ever look back on a day and regret what I did. I'm so excited to be part of Ultra and what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, totally. So I think we had a rough time with David making the decision. We were like, we continue wasting time answering emails, so we just accept. And so it was a pretty good choice. This is overly well connected to the industry and has been helping tremendously to move the business forward.
Yeah, and one of the things that was important immediately was to create awareness in the community. And Nicolas and David let me put together a team, and we went out and we attended the indie shows, the mid-range shows, the online shows, and in the regular the shows you'd expect us to be at: GDC, E3, Gamescom, and people were aware that we were doing something very special, and we were able to sign up well over 150 developers and publishers and bring them on board, and there are other people which I can't go into on this particular podcast, but are excited and are following what we're doing in the space, and will join us as soon as we go online.
And when you joined, you came in as what position? Because it's not the position.
Yeah, I was the CSO from the beginning. I think once again Nicolas just did it just so that I wouldn't ask for a better position. So I've been a part of the chief strategy portion of the team since the beginning, and it's helpful because it allows me to see the micro and the macro of the business, and to make suggestions on who I believe we should be partnering with, and taking the suggestions from David, Nicolas, and Mike, and executing them differently. So, you know, we have a very tight executive team that works quite closely together and works well together.
What exactly is a chief strategy officer?
So my day in and day out responsibilities are, you know, awareness, signing up publishers and developers, looking for new potential partners where, you know, a strategic relationship might make sense, facilitating meetings in which data demos the platform for various partners, right? A lot of people, you can explain things to them, but they're very visual, especially in the video games industry, where you have developers and you have publishers and you have designers who need to see what it is that we're doing. So it's quite helpful to have David do those demos in real time so that we can get feedback for potential changes on the platform that we may want to incorporate.
So that actually sounds like what you're acting at is a communications venue between the outside world and Ultra itself. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say it was accurate. We didn't have a lot of developer and publisher outreach in the beginning. David and Nicolas were, you know, setting up the company, you know, developing the technology, building the team out on that side of it. So it was, for me, it was really just a blank tablet to go out. I to some extent am in the face of Ultra when I go to game shows, but when it comes, there are certain trade shows that David and Nicolas participate in, you know, GDC and Gamescom, and it's incredibly helpful when our partners see the CEOs out there with me, and they get to actually meet them.
It's always very interesting to see and meet the partners face to face, because especially during these times, we spend our time just on the computer. We don't meet so many people. So having just the time to meet the people and actually making better connection drastically improved also the way you can actually make business and sign deals, because then there are more trust involved, because people then see you and feel they feel you're real. And this way basically really helped to see more deals.
It's actually kind of like an interesting parallel to how remote work has happened over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. So as most of us know, we work from home today, and Ultra has always been a very remote first company. And I'm actually curious because, you know, networking happens very much of the time face to face. How has that impacted the way that you guys do your work, where you are interfacing directly developers and publishers? And does that impact how deals are made? Does that impact how easy it is to make a deal?
You know, I've always worked remotely, so, you know, and I've been doing this for such a long period of time that the relationships are already in place, right? So all you're doing really is going out and leveraging existing relationships. And you've done deals with them. I've done deals with the majority of these people, and a majority of these deals have been extremely lucrative. So when I make a phone call, when I participate by bringing people in, usually people know that what I'm bringing is probably a fairly good opportunity, right? The trade shows, when you've been doing this in one particular industry for such a long period of time, really are just where you catch up informally with the people, right? Doing what we do in the relationships we have are ones in which you can pick up the phone, you can get on a call, you can do a Google Meet, and these people will get it right away. They usually want to get to the point. I think it makes us more effective by being able to do it remotely.
So when you talk to these people that you have an existing relationship with, I'm super curious how you describe Ultra to them. Like, I'm assuming that, like, at this point you have a pretty well thought out spiel for describing what we're trying to do. Can you give us your spiel?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but I would say that when I get on, you know, we start off with a blockchain powered gaming platform, because initially that's where we want to be, right? But Ultra, as people will learn, as we grow and as we send out additional information about the platform, we'll learn that it really is, as I describe it to a lot of people, it's vanilla ice cream. You know, you can add whatever flavor you want, and you can make it this incredibly special thing. And when we describe it to partners under NDA, they usually ask us, you know, can I do this or can I do that? And when they find out that they can do these additional things, in the video game industry, you're dealing with incredibly smart people, and they usually are able to extrapolate out fairly quickly what the opportunity is there beyond the games. And a lot of those people have done that. And it's super exciting when David and I and Nicholas are on a call and we see someone's eyes light up and you see that they completely get it, right? And that might be just from us having a phone call. And the others, as I was explaining earlier, it's a visceral reaction. When they see the platform, they suddenly ask a whole nother series of questions. So I try to do at least 1 or 2 phone calls with major partners where we do both, right? And as we get updates, I try to share with the publishers and developers those updates. And we go through the whole thing, and I make sure that it's an incredibly inclusive meeting. And usually, David, Nicholas, and I, we prepare for these meetings ahead of time so that they're smooth, informational, effective meetings.
I would say most of the time, we enter the meeting with some ideas of what it is we would want to do with those partners. But oftentimes at the end of this meeting, there are like 10 or 15 other things we have to deal with that, right. Okay, sure, but we want to do all this as well. So usually we have then to cram down, okay, we're going to start first, step 1, do these 3, and then after step 2, we're going to do these 3 others, and then expand on that. Because otherwise, as soon as they learn what's feasible, usually they get crazy and creative and say, okay, we want to do that, we want to do this. Yeah. Marketing wise, we're going to do this thing. Can we do that? Sure, we can. Most of the time, the answer is yes, sure. So that's always special for them, and usually you can show them on the platform that actually it is feasible. And at the end of the day, we really have to select what are the first steps we want to have with the partners, and then get on the next ones. Like for example, with A&D, we had some first ideas, and then we expanded into a I don't know how many pages contract of what can we do together, because there's just no limit.
I like that idea of Ultra with no limits. It's pretty sexy. Because we're kind of like bridging this gap between 2 very distinct markets, where you have gaming on the one side, which is an enormous market, and crypto on the other, which is also an enormous market. Not comparable right now, but still pretty enormous. I'd actually like to hear your opinion first about the gaming market and where it's going, and then about the crypto market and where it's going, and kind of where they dovetail together, because I think that Ultra is in a really unique, interesting position where they overlap both markets, and they do it smartly and with a lot of intent to build out, a platform which provides a lot of functionality, which is incredible for both markets.
So, sure. The video game portion, where it meets crypto, where it meets NFTs, where it meets blockchain. When we first started doing this thing, they were incredibly painful conversations, because people like major people, publishers like an EA or an Activision or this or that, they're used to putting out Call of Duty 29 or Madden 45, and they know right away they're going to make X amount of dollars from that game. Right. So when you tell them, hey, we're doing this thing and you can make this extra money, it was hard for them to really wrap their heads around it. And really, as we've grown, as we've matured in terms of the way we describe the platform, major partners are able to determine that they can break up the game a million different ways, right? With the NFTs, with video capture, with weapons as NFTs, any one of it, they can break the game down to items, so that the amount of money they can make, the game becomes almost an annuity from them moving forward, because they realize that if a particular gamer sells something, they're still going to make money, down the line as this person keeps selling it, right? They'll always make money. So what happens, the game that was released, 3 years ago that we have on our platform will still be paying them money 5 years into the future or longer as people trade these things. Autographs of famous gamers or stars in games, right? Those things will always make money for these people. So they realize that the game becomes a marketing vehicle, right, beyond just being a game, and that the game's always out in front of people. And this seems to really resonate with the developers and the publishers.
Nicolas, I'd actually really like to hear your take on, so what Edward just covered was why it's positive for publishers and developers from the gaming industry. But if we're doing the overlap, then we also have to think about how it's beneficial for the end users, for the gamers. And when we're talking about NFT technology, then the bonus for them is, of course, they can use that technology to, either make money or they can use it to, have unique experiences. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on that.
Totally. Basically, as a user, you had sort of a similar experience over the last 10, 15 years. There are just some new things like live streaming, for example. Then you had like tournaments, that like different new paradigm that are like bringing value to the users. Free to play, for example, is another way that people can try, but actually they can play if you think about the new models. Like the play to earn and all that, you had that like with free to play, but it's just like under the under the desk. It's just like, yeah, sure, people are mining. So yeah, so people are farming like gold in China, and then after that that's resold to other people. So it's already play to earn, but yeah, 15 years ago. It's just now that the thing is you don't need to trust people anymore, which is good, because if you live at the other side of the world, you never know who's behind a computer. So the reality is now the crypto is bringing some solution to the game industry that directly benefit the gamers, but also the developers. If it doesn't benefit the developers, they won't adopt it, meaning that the gamers won't benefit from it. So here, the fact that we have some text that benefit them, like for example, they can earn a percentage if somebody resell an item, or if somebody resell an account or a game, all that is part of NFTs. Then they have the benefit to bring it to the users. So that's what you need is for an ecosystem to work, is you need each participant to benefit from it. Then everybody's happy and everybody grows this ecosystem. So that's to me what's changed recently, because the game industry was a bit reluctant to work with blockchain initially. They didn't really know. It looks like risky, the whole Bitcoin scam or whatever they heard of. But now that everybody's moving forward and they saw the potential, then they are like, sure, we want a part of this as well. So all the discussion we had in the past that people were very excited to work with us, now they just come back to us as well, like, hey guys, can we do this? Can we do that? Like, sure. We mentioned that a few years back. Yes. So I think that's something really, really exciting, because all of that ultimately will benefit the users in a sense that they can spend their time playing the games and then now monetize this time, as well as they can have a better experience. So they can have experience they didn't have in the past. Like, for example, they can create themselves some content, and this content can be easily monetized without going through tons of different manipulation to be able to sell this content. Now they just, sure, user-generated content, you create this new skin, you create this new item, the developer is happy, you get a little chunk of the transactions, and then you're happy, you also make money out of it. And then the other players are happy, they can earn and they can play with this new creation that you made. So I think the creator landscape will also evolve a lot. You can have many people getting professional at that because they were very good at it. They just couldn't monetize it, and now that's I think a great way for the evolution of the space, the game industry and blockchain industry.
Well, that's kind of what NFTs have been doing for artists already, and being able to see that fall over into other industries like gaming, super exciting. So Ed, I'm actually curious, how do you craft an effective strategy for a project like Ultra that bridges these two markets?
We, because of what we're building, and it's so unique, and because it's so different than what's been out in the marketplace, you really have to almost be boutique with every approach, with every partner, right? And it's as we said earlier, it's interesting. It's hard to craft one message. But the one message that we do put out there is that, this puts more control in the hands of the gamers, right? It gives the gamers a greater ability to control their destiny in the games that they're playing. It gives them ways to be rewarded that they haven't been in the past. And gamers, as a rule, always like stuff that's edgy and new, right? And you look at Steam, and they've been around forever, right? Yeah, Epic has been around for a bunch of years now, 2 or 3 years since they've launched, right? Even that has become, corporate and cold and standardized. Right. Ultra is a living, breathing platform, that will change and grow and become more exciting to gamers as the years go on. And that's the message that we try to put out there. That's a message, as you said, we craft it, do share with the community. And it seems to really hit home when we tell people this. The reality is, though, we have some large competition out there, but we believe what we're building is so unique and different that it'll be a game changer.
Well, I guess that goes back to what Nicholas was saying before about incentivizing each of the players within a project to bring their best to the table. Developers and publishers and gamers and everybody who's deploying to the platform, they're all incentivized to do so. And I don't think that that's necessarily true for any of the competition. So I'm really excited about what Ultra could do in the future.
It is. People can build entire gaming portfolios around their ability to create, quality NFTs, quality game creation. So you could get a gamer who's in his garage. You could build a game, monetize the game, make NFTs, play other games. There's 100 different ways gamers can make money from the platform and feel that they're being rewarded and that they're being recognized.
I feel like that recognition is a really interesting and unique viewpoint that I don't think that we've discussed. Being able to have kind of an outside name that is associated with the work that you do has a lot of value for a lot of people. And, especially within the NFT art community, you've had people like Beeple that have come out of pretty much nowhere, who've been busting ass for years, and they're enabled by this technology to not just do the work that they feel is important and relevant, but to do it at the highest level that they possibly could. And I'm really excited to see what opportunities we'll be able to provide to indie developers in the coming future, in the next year or 2 years, whatever it's going to be, where they're going to be able to produce games and other digital experiences that really, frankly, have never been able to be possible to be built. And
Right.
to do so, out in the open, to do so as part of a larger community, to, leverage that face that they build publicly, and that cohesion between their popularity and their success and Ultra's success, I feel like it goes hand in hand.
So I would say, Randy, the way you just described it goes back to, I would say, the early days of the video game industry when there were only 6 major publishers. And, if you were a small indie and you wanted to try to break into the space, it was almost impossible.
Yeah.
And then you had people like id, people like Epic, you had people like Unity give away free engines, so anybody anywhere could build a game, and it became it was a game changer, literally, for the industry, where anybody could do it. And I think that's the same type of thing Ultra is. We're a game changer. We're going to offer opportunities to developers, to gamers, to anybody who wants to experience our platform. They're going to find that we're a game changer as well.
Yeah, I would say in addition to providing the tools, what the technology enables and what Ultra has built and is currently still building is also the ability for those creators to share their creation and benefit the others to build better experience after. So, for example, the blockchain itself, everybody can access it. So everybody can basically use whatever other people created in terms of data. So you could very well say, I created this very interesting NFT, but I'm going to use it this way in my game. I'm going to create a community that leverage this other application or this other game. It's all really like intertwined in a sense that before you was providing tools to people to build, and now people are creating new IPs, or creating some content that can be leveraged by others as well. And so that's, I would say, what really Ultra provides in addition, is that it's a full ecosystem, but each person or each service that is using this technology and this platform actually can leverage each other services. So you can imagine that just if you have like 10 services, imagine a tournament platform, a live streaming platform, Ultra Games, some people creating content, and then you just add one element, like boom, now you can create and use music. all of them can use this technology for them as well. And all the creators, they will directly have customers in a sense, because all those platforms will use their content, and they can leverage all the existing content as well and services. So you can see how that's a little bit like an octopus, right? It's going in every different direction, and every time you add something, it just grows and grows and grows bigger. This is how Ultra works as well. So all the tech we develop, we all have this in mind. Like the SDK, for example, has many functionalities that everybody can use the same way. So if you use it as well, you will be able to easily communicate with the others and create a better experience for them and for you and for the users.
Utterly unique. Like really, like what you just described doesn't exist in the market. I think it provides such absolutely wonderful opportunities for developers and for other content providers to make money. Super cool.
Once you get enough of these services, then it's game over. I mean, you just keep on growing, and then people join because it's keep on growing because there are more users who want to use it. There are more possibilities, and just why shouldn't you be part of it?
Thoughts on that, Ed?
No, I was just going to say, to dovetail on behind Nicolas, really Ultra, in my discussions with David, really is an immersive lifestyle. Going back to what Nicolas says, once they get into it, once they start doing it, everything they may want to enhance the experience will be available to them in the various portions of what we're doing. So I describe it like, working for one of the major corporations where, you can get your hair cut, you can get your food, you can get your car fixed. It's the same thing with Ultra. If you want music, if you need tools, if you want tournaments, if you want to sell an NFT, if you want to look for a particular thing, and you can add things by just asking us, or you can go out and add things yourself, right? So the community will grow formally and informally and organically, right? And we are going to rely on players that we're bringing into the ecosystem.
So I know that you've been working behind the scenes to bring on developers and publishers to our platform. I know that you also can't really talk specific partners yet, although you can if you really want to. Name drop now would be great. In general terms, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what we look for in partners for Ultra. Like, I think that there's some interesting questions there about who comes first, who comes second, and I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah. So, we have various types of criteria we use, right? And it's fairly broad. I'll try to keep it as narrow as possible, but we have some developers who are developing specifically for the Ultra platform, exclusive content that will be unique and exciting and will literally take advantage of every aspect of what it is we're developing for, right? That's number one. Number two, we have signed up publishers that are some of the larger ones, and I can tell you that they in effect get it, but they're fairly corporate. So you can imagine it takes a bit of time to educate the food chain within a major publisher to get them to understand what it is that we're doing, and you have to make it so that we're an extension of what they're doing. They're not having to build out a whole new team internally initially to do this kind of thing. Thirdly, we have, because of the breadth and depth of consumers and gamers that we're bringing on board throughout the world, we also look for the games that they have out in market, the games that are in development, and their back catalog games. Because in some parts of our community, some of these games will be ones in which you've never seen before. So we give life to games that have already been through the life cycle. And this is exciting for publishers to be able to recognize additional revenue from titles they thought had already been past their prime. So that's important. And we also, and I would give this mostly to David. David finds these obscure games that are coming out that have the best possibilities to be successful on it. And David will come to me, and I'll wake up and I'll look in my messaging app, and of course David will have sent me 12 games. So I have to scringe and scrounge and find these emails and find these people, and I hunt them down. And a small minority of them are super excited to be part of what we're doing. The larger ones, they have a very tight budget of development, and we try to be a good partner in various forms to support them so that they can bring their content to our platform. So that's kind of the three that we kind of look at, right? There's much more, but that takes it down to the three major areas that really I think would be most definitive for what you're asking me.
I'd actually be really curious what do they think about what Ultra is doing?
So, initially you get that, oh, so you're just another Steam or you're just another Epic, right? And then
Right.
what you have to do is you really have to have 2 or 3 data points that are so different than the other two that they understand immediately what it is that you're doing. And usually no is usually the easiest thing for people to say. So you have to give them something they need that they haven't seen before. You have to recognize a problem they don't know they have, and you have to solve it with them with our platform, and that's what we tend to do.
Some of the partnerships that Ultra already has are with huge companies, like AMD, Atari, Theta, Ubisoft, etc. I'd really be curious to hear how they came about and what you think they bring, like in what way they bring value to the Ultra project.
Yeah. So, AMD was a relationship that David and Nicolas had. They've been in the industry for a long time, and they had a previous relationship with AMD, and AMD recognized that David and Nicolas, were successful and understood what a partnership with AMD would look like with Ultra. And the guys at AMD are extremely excited to be part of what we're doing. Atari, Fred Chenet, who is the CEO of Atari, is a personal friend of mine, and I reached out to him and I explained to him what we were doing. And he, with a bit of persuasion, was more than happy to join. And so we were able to capture the classic titles that he's doing and also be part of some of the other projects that he's doing. Ultra will pop up in a number of different Atari projects, which I can't get into now. Ubisoft was one in which, I had a deep relationship, but Nicholas, was working with the team in Paris and was able to secure that from the Paris side of the equation. But, it's Ubisoft is an octopus with many tentacles, and, we're working with all the different portions of Ubisoft to create and expand our relationship with them.
Those partners, when we reach out initially, so Ed is usually extremely well connected, so we can always find the right person within the company. So it allows us to not waste time going through all the different hoops and steps to try to get somebody to speak to actually say, this is what we are doing. And in this regard, and since they are directly listening to what we have to say, and is the right person, it allows us to really be efficient. So we have a tight plan. Okay, this is what we're going to do together. This is what the value is going to bring to you. This is how we know internally is bring value to Ultra. And it's not so complicated after to execute the plan. As long as the people understand the value, if there is no legal concern, because that's been something that we heard a lot. People working with blockchain companies are trying to. Is sorry, we usually cannot work. It's never going to pass compliance or legal. And so far, it never happened with us. So every time they're like, yeah, sure, it looks like it's fine, so let's try. And usually it comes back from legal, it's fine. So everybody's usually surprised on their end, and we are always quite happy because we can actually make deal happen and provide them some new technology they would never use otherwise, at least not for the moment.
I don't think that most people understand what a big deal that is, because in my experience, when you approach traditional corporate companies and you say the word blockchain or crypto, they either don't answer your email or they hang up immediately. And going forward, it's really hard to secure those deals. And the fact that Ultra's legal framework and standing is enough to pass legal compliance at very large companies, corporations, is no small feat.
Yeah, totally. I think that's since we had multiple companies in the past, we already worked with large corporates, and we already had some very high, very big needs in terms of what we need internally for compliance, for abiding by the law, the taxation, all the different aspects, the geofencing, there are many things that actually people are not aware of that are critical for corporates.
Sure.
And since now we have this experience, we also know what we want to have, and usually when we provide the same solution, everybody's happy because they have the same problem we have. As long as we fix them for us, we fix them for them already.
Ed, I'm actually curious what your thoughts are on Ultra's advantages when brokering new deals. Do you think we have them?
I think we do. I think the fact that we've built something, which this is going to sound redundant, but we've built something that's so different right? I think what's key there is that when we're talking with potential partners and we're going through the things that we're doing, right? And sometimes it's hard to initially get in the door, but as Nicholas will tell you, I'm fairly annoying, right? And I get us in the front of the people. And what we tend to do is once we're there, and once David starts talking, and David is so incredibly intelligent with what his vision is for the platform. And when we get the right people in the room and he's able to convey his vision to those people, and we educate those people so they become a champion for us internally at these major corporations. Initially, early days, it was hard with people feeling more comfortable with cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs, right? And everyone's read an article, right? That's a lot of times we get on the phone with people and say, oh, I just read this article. They read their first article about NFTs, right? And that allows us to work with them to show them what it could be.
All right, so I'd like to be a little naughty here and ask Nicholas to talk a little bit about partnerships that we have in the pipeline. What partnership are you most excited about? You don't have to name names.
That's good. How to put it then? So what we are working on, I think that is exciting, is related to esports. So esports, as you know, is continuously growing for past 10 years, like at an insane rate in every different regions of the world. Many people are watching esports and don't play games or never even play that game specifically. And that's kind of a big feat. I mean, people watch football and they don't play football. Sure, that seems normal, but not as the same for video games. And so that's a trend that goes hand in hand with what Ultra is building, because we have many tools that cater to influencers, allow them to generate more revenue, get more users easily, and all that. And so right now we are working on a partnership that is, that's expanding the possibilities that Ultra can offer, and that can bridge a few of the different applications we have already on the platform into providing basically what I explained earlier, is that every new application or service bring more value to the others and the other way around. That's the same with this. So basically it's a new solution that will bring more value to each of the participants, whether they're players, whether they are service providers or games. So this one is pretty interesting. Another one is more tied to physical world. There's not much we can say about it. Good discussion with partners on what can be done in the physical world and how can we expand and bring them more customers, as well as more customers for the platform.
As in tokenization of physical objects?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Really, look, it's those partnerships that we're gonna forge over the next, 6 months, 2 years, that are gonna define Ultra's place in gaming and crypto history. Ed, would you like to add anything about how our strategy going forward will ensure our success?
So, I guess adding on to what Nicholas was saying, we have relationships in the pipeline with some very recognizable brands. And I believe they see that we can be a positive revenue opportunity to expand their brands, to expand the experience, and to also it also allows them to talk to their gamers in a way that they haven't done before, right? So we really become an extension of their marketing department. So if they're spending $1 in traditional marketing, by bringing this messaging platform to them, their games become a vehicle in which they can actually, their dollar then can be worth $5 or $10 because they know that they're hitting the exact demographic that they're trying to hit with those marketing dollars. And I can tell you that resonates with those major partners when we explain that to them.
Especially when sometimes those marketing money just comes back is more than what's spent. So usually when you're a marketing team, you spend a lot of money. Yeah. Usually that's how you have to do. You spend money, and then that's how it works in every large corporate. They have a big budget, but when they know they can then replenish this budget and do other things after, usually it makes them pretty happy.
So to close out, we're going to take some Q&A from the community. These are questions that we've pulled in either through Twitter or Telegram. And I'd like to start with you, Ed. We have a question that says, I'm actually interested in the go-to-market strategy. Are you focused on indie devs for gaming, on the NFT side of things, or is that still too far in the future to have things mapped out?
So one of the things I'm very proud of at Ultra is that we talk to everybody, whether you're the guy in your garage developing a game or whether you're a major publisher, and so we want the breadth and depth of games that are out there that are being developed right now. We encourage all sizes of developers to reach out to us so we can be part of the process early on, so they can have the most effective experience on our platform. We're an inclusive platform. We want everyone to feel welcome.
So the second question that we have from our community is, what are the challenges that you encounter when preparing for launching a product used by millions of users? But really what we're talking about is scalability and how we deal with that internally at Ultra.
Yeah, so it's the interesting part of this is that, because we're new, right? We're always, every day we experience new types of problems that we have to overcome, but it really makes the platform it's going to be much tighter. It's going to be better for the community, right? We have a very reactive team, right? That overcomes problems in real time. So if we encounter a problem with a developer or publisher, an integration or performance on the platform, the team that we put together is extremely good at resolving problems fairly quickly. And I can tell you that, scaling up and this and that, it's one of those things you don't know until you start doing it. So what we do is, as we're doing the closed beta, the open beta, and various portions of the launch, right, we're turning up the volume on players so that by the time we get to a full commercial launch where we're out there for tens of millions of players, right, hopefully all the bugs and all the worst parts of the experience have been vetted, cleaned up, and are now put behind us. But operating systems, platforms, they're living organisms. So you're going to always experience different things that you need to overcome as you grow.
That's the fun part, right?
Yeah, I would say the big advantage is what we have is that we have some really, really great folks that are working with us, like Mike, our CTO, who already had experience like scaling platforms with tens or hundreds of millions of users. So basically they know when we're gonna hit what problem, more or less. But basically there are always some problems you don't know in advance. There's no way you can know, but you actually know how to prepare the team for those problems. And so far we've seen that. We had like the wallet on the client launch, we had a few hiccups, but in a few hours, tackled, done. And usually when you have that with other projects, it's gonna take a few days, and maybe it's gonna be solved in a week if you're lucky. And here really the fact that the team is really well organized and prepared allow us to actually react very fast and provide solution. And we try to avoid any potential problems we know might arise, but you never know. But I would say what's key is the security. That's the part that we want first to be 100% confirmed and working before we open to a lot of people, because that's the only part where you don't want any problems.
The last question that we have from the community is, what do you believe will be the main reason players will leave Steam for Ultra, or do you see people continue to use both?
In my opinion, I think what I've seen is that players like different experiences for different reasons, right? It's the same reason a person buys a PS5 or an Xbox, right? There's different games for different platforms that perform differently, and they want both of those experiences. And Ultra will be that thing that people will gravitate towards. And I think, honestly, through a guerrilla marketing campaign and word of mouth, a lot of players will come over and try us out and realize that there's things that are different than the other two, that they enjoy much more, right? There's opportunities for them that don't exist on the other platforms and will never exist on the other platforms. And I think they will invest time in 1, 2, or even 3 of the platforms.
Yeah, I would say in addition to that, the big difference with Steam is a game distribution platform. Ultra Games is a distribution platform as well. Ultra is not a distribution platform. So Ultra Games is just a part of the full ecosystem of Ultra. So when you're a player and you want to, enjoy some live streams, some tournaments or whatever, you can join Ultra and you can participate to those tournaments, and then you can at the same time buy some games. So you can't do the whole thing in one experience. Whether you're on Steam, you can only do what Steam allows you to do. So the extensibility of the platform probably is what will differentiate a lot, because there are also many reasons to join the platform. So you would join for one reason, but enjoy the rest of the platform. Whether if you just want to buy games, you can go on Steam or Ultra, but it's still a different approach. And if you have the choice to buy the game on Steam, I don't know, $50, same price on Ultra, but actually after you can get $20 back when you finish the game. If I'm a player and if I'm young and I don't have that much money, sure, why would I buy the other game? As long as I can communicate with my friends, so that's very important. If they have a good community solution and system, then sure, why would I launch my game from Steam or launch my game from Ultra? It's the same thing for me, as long as I can get more money out of it or more fun.
Right. Nicolas is absolutely right. I mean, you can buy a game for $50, level that game all the way up, and then sell it for more than you purchased it for. And then what it becomes is it's an annuity. It rolls on to the next game you buy. It gives you greater resources. So the greater the commitment to the platform by the gamers, the greater feedback, the greater amounts that they will return in a number of different ways. So that's why time invested on a Steam, time invested on a console, all you get is the satisfaction of knowing you finished the game. And on Ultra, you can monetize the micro and the macro. You'll be able to sell the entire leveled up game and make more money, right? You can become informally an influencer by being that guy who always sells the best leveled up games, right? So I think there's a way for people to grow on this platform.
Ed, Nicolas, it's been super fun. Thanks again to all the Ultra fans out there. It's great to have you guys on board, and we're so excited about bringing you more news, insider info, and in-depth details about what we've been building, why we've been building it, and how we believe it will shape the future of gaming and digital assets. And make sure to subscribe and share this episode wide and far. See you next time, and keep it ultra chill.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Chill.
Take care.